Women don't make the best leaders. Now stay with me. Hey, sit. Now I can see you moving now. Sit down. Obviously, there's nobody in the room. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And stay with me. I promise you this is not what you think it is. And if it ends up being what you think it is, then, well, I was going to make the joke, but I can't do it now because then it would be exactly what you think it is. First of all, thank you to everybody who subscribes, men and women. We appreciate you all. And everyone, is it appropriate to say everyone in between? I don't know. The rules keep changing. So I saw this tweet. A tweet, because I tweet and I am a twit. I accept that. I know that about myself. Patrick Long, you may eat your heart out because I have proven you right. I tweet, therefore I am a twit. I saw this tweet today. It was on a thread. Basically what happened was a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles said to a female fan of the Buffalo Bills, typical woman opinion of football, you don't understand the rules, and she clapped back with a pretty clear understanding of the rules because Buffalo fans tend to not be split among demographics. The guys don't understand football better than the girls. Usually it's a pretty even 50-50 split because the Buffalo Bills are so tied into the city of Buffalo. But in the thread, someone, no profile picture, but presumably a guy, chimed in and said, see, this is why women make better leaders, and it's why women have been oppressed for so long. There were obviously no disagreements with that sentiment because when you disagree with that sentiment on the internet, it tends to not end well. So naturally, I sat down and recorded a podcast and opened up with the line that women don't make better. You! Down! You're not leaving. Listen to the whole opinion. I'm recording this in front of a not live audience. I'm just being silly. Women don't automatically make better leaders. Interesting. Now he's added the word automatically. In the beginning, he just said women don't make better leaders. Women don't automatically make better leaders. And if I had been allowed to finish my opinion before I created my straw men who just got up and left, I would have also said men don't automatically make the best leaders. Interesting. Now we're into some territory. Leaders make the best leaders. But Nick, what do you mean by that? Your gender, I would argue, has very little bearing on your ability to be a good or a bad leader. Your ability to lead is what determines if you are a leader or not. And I think in today's society, there's this big emphasis on don't be a follower, be a leader. Don't be a follower, be a leader. That sets up a whole mess of things that you could unpack because then it's like, well, I work in a company and the company has a CEO. The CEO is the clear leader. Well, the CEO also has to serve somebody. Who? Well, the shareholders. Right? A CEO is beholden to shareholders, and not only shareholders, a CEO is beholden to a board of directors. The board of directors, being also beholden to the shareholders. And we're talking obviously here about publicly traded companies or companies that have that structure. In closely held companies, it would simply be the CEO, but the CEO would also be beholden to, at the end of the day, the customers. But this idea of leaders and followers has sort of come up in recent days because of the rise of this need to separate. This need to grow your individual identity outside of a group. Right. The idea of being just one of the sheep, right? It's meant as in when somebody says don't be a sheep, it's meant to be like an insult to you. Like, don't be a sheep. Don't just follow public opinion. Don't just listen to what others are saying and just follow along behind it. Be a leader. Be a leader. And then you run into a problem. Well, you can't have a group of leaders. It doesn't work. Because as much as people say, don't be a sheep, there's another phrase. I gotta filter that phrase because I can't say that. I learned this phrase in a welding shop in the early 2000s. It was okay to say this sort of thing. So I'm going to filter it. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Meaning, you can't all be the chef. You can't all be deciding the menu. You can't all be telling other people what to do. Somebody has to actually control the situation. So somebody has to be the leader. That position is not automatically desirable. It's not automatically desirable. There are a lot of qualities and a lot of things that I would say, hey, it's okay to be a follower in that situation. But you have to understand, it's in that situation. This dichotomy of leaders and followers, it messes us up. It gets us into some trouble. Now, for people who have been paying attention, you're probably going to say, Nick, you keep talking about how you're a Christian on this podcast and you believe in the Bible and blah, 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 blah. Doesn't the Bible say that men should lead and women should follow? So there's an interesting point to that I want to get to. The Bible actually has a pretty good idea of how things should be ordered and should be structured. Because, get this, in the Bible, leadership is not marked by the orders you give. Leadership is not marked by being the man or woman who just barks at everybody and demands things get done. Leadership is service. And wait a second, Nick, what do you mean leadership is service? Okay. Think about Jesus. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And again, because we're on this podcast, let's take it in the purely secular and look at it as the myth of morality. We'll look at it as one of Aesop's fables that is just meant to teach us things. You know, Aesop's fables being one of the more famous ones is if you want a man to take off his coat, don't blow wind at him, make it warm. And he'll take off the coat by himself. What did Jesus was the ultimate, was a leader. Undoubtedly, indisputably. He led the hundreds. He led hundreds, and at a minimum, he led his 12 buddies around. And he didn't found a religion. He actually just clarified and moved another religion forward. How did Jesus mark his leadership? Was it he sat down and do this? No. He fed his people. Did Jesus just go into a place, sit down, and say, let's go? No. He went in first and washed his people's feet. Did he say, here's the checklist, you guys got to mark all these boxes off and get this done? No. He did the work himself and hung himself on a cross to open the way to heaven, to open the way to reunion with the Father. Even looking at that in a secular fashion, even looking at that as simply, what do we draw from that myth? Let's just say that. What do we draw from that myth? What we draw from that myth is that if you want to be a leader, and his disciples were men and women, if you want to be a leader, that means you have to serve. You have to serve those around you. So what do we draw from that when I said at the beginning, the controversial statement, women are not automatically the best leaders? What we say to that is those who serve the best make the best leaders. Those who are willing to serve those around them make the best leaders. And you see that nowadays being said in popular podcasts. You see that being said all over the place. Like the leadership consultants who are talking about the best ways to be the CEO, the best ways for COOs, CEOs, and C-level executives to run their companies, it is for those executives to be of service to those in their companies. Guys, it's Christian philosophy. Simple as that. If you want to be a leader, man or woman, you need to be of service. And if you are someone who just can't be of service, and it's not a bad thing if you can't be of service, right? You have 6 kids at home. You have a disability. You this, that, or the other. It's okay. The Christian myth, if you want to call it that, didn't say if you can't serve others, then you're a bum and you should, you're useless. You're a sheep. No. Because you can learn service. You can learn how to be a leader. And it is a learned trait. Learn to be of service, and you will be a great leader, man or woman. So to sum up, no, I'm sorry, women, you don't make the best leaders. Servants make the best leaders. If you enjoyed that little take, like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy that take, frankly, I don't blame you. But frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.